Hey, everybody. How's it going? How's it going? It's good to see everybody here. We got a modest amount of people for this time of night, man. I know this is kind of a later stream, but I think it's good. You know what I mean? I think we can't really go wrong with you know, this time hanging out, talking per usual. Let's see here. Purgatory Pilgrim, Tony, Pine Sap, let's go. Going to be discussing Catholic Protestant issues with some Messianic friends this weekend. Prayers are appreciated. Dude, let's go. Let's go. We'll definitely pray for you, JK Naylor. Meow. Meow back to you, Cloud. Pine Vespulazer. Dude, let's go. And, we're not even 5 seconds in and we're already talking about pine cake. All right. That's That's per usual, man. What's up, bro? I'm the guy who messaged you on Twitter asking for good books for new converts. Well, it kind of depends on I'm trying to remember the message, but kind of depends on what you're looking for or what background you come from or what you're trying to develop. If you're trying to understand the theology of the church, I would say Theology for Beginners is a phenomenal book. I think sort of the journey into our Catholic. Lux Wolf donated $3. Yo Pine Sap, just wanted to say your intro is fire. Just got confirmed Catholic this Easter. You helped me learn a lot about the faith. God bless. Hey, thanks, Lux. Really appreciate it, man. It was all God. So we're so happy that you're in the church, man. That is everything. That's why we do this. But thanks for the 3, man. I really appreciate that. Map of Life by Frank Sheed and Theology for Beginners is what I recommend to most people. I'd say Apologetics and Catholic Doctrine is by Archbishop Sheehan is also fantastic. If you want a good prayer book, I would say Divine Intimacy by Father. Let's see here. Let me just make sure I get. Why does Google do this? We've detected some weird traffic on your. Okay, man. Fuck it. Sorry, I just technology. So Father Gabriel of Saint Mary Magdalene, Divine Intimacy is a phenomenal devotional. In fact, I think it's so phenomenal that if it was the only devotional you had to have your entire life, I think it would be more than sufficient. St. John the 23rd really liked it. He highly recommended it. And I think it's a phenomenal devotional. If you had this, your Bible and your catechism, you would be set up for the rest of your life. Liam donated $15. I finalized a time frame for heading back to Ireland. Please pray for my job search, specifically St. Patrick, patron of engineers. Oh, goodness, dude. Let's see here. Oh, another super chat from Vincent. I'll read that in 1 second. Would you go on Avoiding Babylon? I'm sure they'd have you on if they reach out. I actually did go on Avoiding Babylon. There's an older episode. I think we were talking about Pope-splaining and stuff like that. But yeah, I've been on there before. It was a pretty good. It was a pretty good talk. I think we had a little bit of more understanding and stuff like that, and I thought it was a good discussion and stuff like that. So, really good discussion there. But yeah, that was pretty phenomenal. Dude, Laffy's in the chat. Let's go. Okay, I will buy W. Let's go. Vincent sent $5. Cuerpo de Lano is one of the realest N-words in the past 100 years. Let's go. W, dude. Alrighty. Let's see. Prayer request for the 11 service members that died 5 years ago today in the pull out of Afghanistan. Absolutely, Eric. We will pray for the repose of their soul. But yeah, Divine Intimacy is fantastic. I think if there was one devotional that you had to have for the rest of your life, it would be that one. I think it's phenomenal, and I swear by it. It's done a lot for me, and it's really meant a lot to me. ROK Zoomer donated $2. Hello from Korea, dude. Well, hello from Korea, bro. I gotta go to South Korea. I feel like that's a really good place to check out. I've heard great things about South Korea, but it's so good that you're tuning in from Korea, man. We really appreciate you. Korean Catholics are strong. They hold it down. But yeah, basically a little, dang, dude, the super chats are coming in tonight. I'm not complaining. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful. Pope Leo, why am I retarded? The 14th Respecter. I was like trying to remember my Roman numerals. Sent $2. 2 questions. Have you seen Young Pope, the show that features Pope Pius XIII? Is it based or Catholic slander? I'll answer that real quick. It's Catholic slander. There are some scenes from it that are like funny in an ironic way, but you really should not watch the show. It's totally Catholic slander. You know, it does that typical like subversive Catholic exploitation thing that Hollywood is very fond of, where it's like, oh, actually he wakes up and being liberal is super, super based and super cool. Don't watch that show. Can you please pick up where you left off last time about and talk about the Anglican Personal Ordinariate? Yeah, I can do that. We'll get into that a little bit more. But dude, let's go. Let's go. We're so back. What are your thoughts on Jesus and whatnot? He's a pretty good guy. We're gonna get into that and stuff like that. I don't mean that as like a setup, like, oh, we're gonna get into it. No, he's a great guy. I think he's a great man. I have nothing but positive things to say about him. There is something I'm going to say about the TikTok debate culture, but it's not a hit at him. It's just more sort of a dissatisfaction I have with that culture, but we'll get into that. So the title of this episode, as you guys know, is What is Apologetics? I think this is a very important question to cover. Kappa Mikey donated $5. Dude, let's go. Good evening to Pine and the Saplings. Well, good evening to you, Kappa Mikey. What is apologetics? I put out a post a couple days ago on Twitter and Telegram about my problem primarily with Instagram Catholic influencers. And my problem is not that they're using Instagram to try and spread the gospel. I mean, I'd be the biggest hypocrite in the world if I criticize that, because that's big part of what I've done and stuff like that. So that was not me throwing shade at that idea. EHC donated $2. Let's go. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Hello, Mr. Pinesap. Hello, EHC. Dude, you got to pick up some more Slim Chickens. You got to pick up some. Everybody get yourself a motherfucking Hungry Man meal. Get a Hungry Man meal. Get either the Slim Sauce, the honey mustard, or the honey barbecue, and an Oreo shake from Slim Chickens. I guarantee you will not regret it. It's phenomenal. Someone was saying the other day in one of my chats that Cane's is better. That's bullshit, man. Cane's sucks compared to Slim Chickens. Slim Chickens is so good. I go to that place like, I don't literally go to it all the time, but I go to it every once in a while. Like if I'm gonna eat fast food, I try to keep it S tier like that. Let's see here. Is Divine Intimacy a prayer book or only a meditation book? So it's both. So it basically it sets up the structure of how we really should be praying, which is there's an initial prayer that like brings us into God's presence, and then there is a reflection and we meditate upon that. Honestly, if like you want to learn how to pray, in my opinion, it's one of the best books, right? Peter Kreeft also has a really good book on prayer, but that's more just like the nature of prayer and how to pray, right? This is like kind of putting it into practice, and I think it's the best book for that. I mean, there's a reason why people refer to that book a lot. Let's see. What's your Insta? Can't find it. I'm Spruce Juice 2988. If you just type in Spruce Juice 2988, you'll find me, buddy. Let's see here. Young Pope Anonymous sent $2. Young Pope producers accidentally made all the liberals scheming bad guys and gay. LOL. That's pretty funny, actually. So the nature of apologetics and what these Instagram influencers get wrong fundamentally is they think that apologetics is about convincing people. That's not what apologetics is about. If you're trying to convince people, if you're trying to like win people over, you're already doing apologetics wrong. Apologetics is not about winning people over or convincing people, because at the end of the day, we don't convince anybody. I can't convince anybody. You can't convince anybody. He, she, we, nobody can convince anybody. Because do you know who ultimately convicts somebody to accept the faith? It's God the Holy Spirit. God the Holy Spirit is the one who convicts people in the faith. And in order to believe in the first place and have faith, this is why grace precedes faith, right? Grace precedes faith. You have to have the grace from Christ to know and understand the faith. To even want to accept him, you have to have grace from Christ. You only get that grace from the Holy Spirit, right? You only get that grace from the indwelling of the Holy Spirit in your heart. Laffy donated $5. He said, good evening, thoughts on leather Rambler boots? Good investment. Let's look these up. Joe the Boomer! Joe the Boomer! Dude, Joe the Boomer, listen, I love Joe the Boomer, but let's be a little real for a moment. He is the judge from Blood Meridian. I don't know. You guys probably have never seen Joe in real life. Joe is built like the judge. He is a fucking giant. I think he's... I haven't measured his exact height. I'm pretty sure he's 7 foot tall. Because I came here to his chest when I met him in real life. That guy is like a monster. Like he is a groiper in the definition of what it means to be a groiper. That guy is built like the judge from Blood Meridian. That's why we love him. Joe is literally just the judge. I can't listen to anything about Blood Meridian and Judge Holden without just imagining Joe the Boomer now. It's like seeped into my brain. And Joe, unironically, is just built like the judge. Like, he is a massive behemoth of a man. I have never seen someone who's intimidated me more than Joe the Boomer. Joe is just, he's a phenomenal dude. We love Joe. He is our Judge Holden. Yeah, these Rambler boots look really good. I highly recommend them. I've never, my feet are kind of weird. I'm actually somewhat flat-footed. I have like a slight arch in my foot, but I'm mostly flat-footed. I've never been a cowboy boots kind of guy, but these look pretty good, honestly. So yeah, W Rambler boots, they look pretty good. But let's see here. Okay, I didn't miss any other super chats. Going back to the topic at hand. Too many of these Instagram apologists think that if I depict the faith in a certain way, or I try to deliver it in a certain way, or I try to speak about it in a certain way, that's going to win people over. And if you're thinking that way, you're already thinking of Catholicism in a completely wrong way. You're already conceiving of the faith in a completely incorrect way. Because at some point, if someone's heart is resistant to grace, if someone does not want to convert, if someone does not want to accept Christ in their heart, there is no way you are going to depict our faith that's going to make that happen. You're casting pearls before swine. And what's very funny is you see a lot of these guys, and your boy EB knows who I'm talking about in chat, and we might react to some of his videos to give sort of an embodiment of the attitude that I'm talking about. Your boy, what's that Connor guy's name? Can you tell me so I can look him up? Because I don't even watch his videos, but like, he is emblematic of what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to be a look, excuse the language. I know I serve up cunt a lot. Like, I know I'm kind of a little bit of a pot stirrer. I just am, like I am a little bit of a pot stirrer. I am a little bit of like, I get into contentions with people or whatever. And it's not that like, I'm really trying to, wow, full name docs in the chat. That's awesome. I'm so hungry I could eat a Connor Estelle. Trafficant Truther sent $10. RZ is my favorite Protestant goober. His church Protestant history vids are gems. But anything PC USA apologetics to dunk on Catholics is pure coal. I pray that he comes home. His church is beyond saving. as much as I beef with the guy, I do hope that he accepts Christ into his heart and becomes Catholic. It'd be very sad to see him remain separated from the church, but he is like reprobate, dude. I don't know if you guys saw what Ethan Muse posted about him, but he now is like supportive of homosexuality. He's completely supportive of homosexuality. It's insane. I really can't tolerate the guy at this point. Father John Osterreicher, I posted this quote a long time ago, but if you guys have hung around the channel enough, you know who Father John Osterreicher is. He's the real guy that wrote Nostra Aetate. He was a really good man. He was a convert from Judaism to Catholicism, and he was so orthodox that they called him the Inquisitor because he wanted to convert all Jews. But he famously said that when a Jew converts to Catholicism, it's amazing because he didn't use the term Jewish revolutionary spirit, but in so many words, he basically said what we've said for many years at this point, right? They overcome the Jewish revolutionary spirit. They accept Christ in their heart, and the spiritual disease of Judaism turns into a new zeal for Catholicism. And they actually, in that way, become some of the best Catholics known to man. I mean, the Jews not the Jews, the Catholics that I've met that have come from a Jewish background, like IRL, are some of the most phenomenal Catholics I've ever met. And that's not just like me glazing or whatever. It's that a lot of them have to overcome so much in becoming Catholic that when they really decide to accept the faith in their heart, it's legit. Like, they're not messing around, right? But if what Father John Osterreicher said is true about a Jew who converts to Catholicism becoming like one of the best Christians, right, overcoming that deviant spirit, right, that's present amongst that religion, it's equally true that those who do not accept the gospel of Jesus Christ and don't become Catholic become some of the worst enemies of Christianity. And I really do think that Richard Ackerman, aka Redeemed Zoomer, is one of them. We should consider him to be our enemy. I know that's really mean. I know I A-log him all the time, but at this point, he is completely disingenuous. I don't think that he is an honest actor. I don't think that he wants to support the gospel of Jesus Christ. I think he wants to support his own pet project and read Karl Barth, who, by the way, denied the resurrection, and support that as Christianity to mislead souls. And so I have no quarter with Richard. I think Richard is a snake. And wearing a nice bow tie and talking about being charitable all the time is not going to change that fact. I think he is a complete snake, and I think he is the full embodiment of that revolutionary spirit. I don't think that has left his heart. I think it's just mutated into ironically being more subversive than had he remained a secular atheist. So I know that's really mean, but that's where he's coming from. It's like, come on. I for the longest time, and look, I'm going to be honest, I'm hurt by it. I had that guy's back for the longest time. There were people who literally all the time would tell me Connor, you don't understand. This guy is completely disingenuous. I've tried to talk to him and stuff like that. I was like, no, trust me. He's coming along. He about did me in when I believe it was the Feast of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and he decided to post that the Sacred Heart was Nestorian. And at that point, I was like, we have had so many talks with this guy that I knew he wasn't going to be Catholic tomorrow. And contrary to what people might say about me, I knew he wasn't going to be Catholic tomorrow, and that was never the contention. Look, I get we all got to come to the faith in our own time, man. I don't expect or give up on someone just because they don't come to the faith tomorrow, right? It is a process. It took me an entire year of learning about Catholicism before I ever really said in my heart, I want to be Catholic. You know what I mean? And that's, it took some time. So it wasn't an impatience thing with him. A lot of people try to accuse that of me, and they try to say that oh, I'm just mad because he didn't convert tomorrow or whatever. It's no, dude, I get it takes a long time, but his his disingenuous nature, right? His disingenuous snake-like nature just became full frontal. And any goodwill that I had towards that guy was completely evaporated. I mean, I was like, you have gotten to a point where you're not a genuine actor. And keep in mind, ironically, IRL, I'm very conciliatory with a lot of non-Catholic people. Like half my friend group is like Eastern Orthodox or Protestant. Like I'm not mean, I'm not uncharitable, and I would never think to be, man, because that's not the way we convert people. Look, like you're not going to help someone come along in the faith by being like a massive dick to them. Right? You're not going to full frontal. Well, hey, maybe if you guys are good, you'll get only saps tonight. Just saying. No, I'm playing. But you have to if we're Christians, if we are Christ bearers, we're bearers of the name of Christ, we have to be kind. And if we're not kind, we're not putting our faith on display for the world to see. Right? We're not bearing our faith. And so you really should be kind to especially people in your life that are not. Oh, I think I disconnected. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, yikes. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up, blood. Okay, I think we're back. Sorry about that. Do you think your friend's going to want to be a Catholic if you're going to be like a massive dick to them and you're going to be super uncharitable and you're going to go out of your way to be like cruel and stuff like that? Like, they're never going to want to come around. Right? I mean, I've talked to people before. I remember there was this one, if you guys know Blue, Blue's a really good guy. I'm really good friends with him and stuff like that. I think he bought the Rift TV, if I'm not mistaken. Blue's a great man. I can't speak of him highly enough. He's a wonderful dude. We hung out at Amfest and stuff like that. He's just like a really genuine guy, and I really appreciate him. And I remember there was this like one girl that he had introduced me to. Very nice gal. And she was Protestant and stuff like that. And she's like, all the Catholics that I've known in my life were super hypocritical and super, uncharitable or prideful or not good like bearers of the gospel. And I can't remember exactly what I said, but I think I said something to the effect of like, and I'm one of them, right? Like, I find it hard to pray. I'm not always good at attending mass. I'm not always good at living out the dictates of the gospel. But I said, the reason why I'm Catholic is because I know that this is where Christ is. And this is where I can have his grace. And this is how I am able to follow him so I can be a better Christian. So I can wake up from my spiritual slumber. I can wake up from the low moments. I can wake up from the bad moments and be the Catholic that I need to be. And be the bearer of Christ that I need to be. And, she said she was really taken aback because I think usually in these internet conversations, we're so used to like just slinging arrows and being like, oh, you're a dumb retard if you're Protestant. Oh, you're a dumb, homo if you're Eastern Orthodox, and you're never going to get it or what have you. But, and look, there are, I will admit, there are times when people are being disingenuous that you should just say, like, you're being retarded right now. But it's because they're being disingenuous, not because they're trying to understand. You can tell the difference between someone who is genuinely trying to understand the Catholic position and people who are not. Like, I interacted with some Eastern Orthodox guys today who, they were genuine retards. They don't care about wanting to know the position. I took the time to say, hey, the Holy Spirit wouldn't allow the Pope to do this. And they respond, oh, so the Holy Spirit, so the Pope's God. Oh, so the Pope lacks free will. brick wall, don't cast pearls before swine. Those guys are complete retards, right? And it's because they're disingenuous. It's not because they're trying to understand. But for those people who are trying to understand, even if they bring up objections and even if they, at first seem kind of opposed, if you're kind and you're honest and you're like, look, man, I'm not a great Catholic. But the reason I'm Catholic is so that I have that grace to become the Christian that I need to be. Right? I can only find this grace in the Catholic Church. I can't find it anywhere else. I'm Catholic despite being a bad Christian, not because of it. And I think that interaction that we had, it really helped her realize, she's like, wow, like, I never really thought of it that way. And that's the interactions that we need to have. Look, don't go. There is pride in our faith, for sure. We should be proud of the faith itself, right? The church is triumphant. There's some, like, I'm proud of the Crusades. I'm proud of the Inquisition. I'm proud of all the things that the world gives a shit for. I'm not ashamed of it. And, that kind of pertains to our subject of apologetics, but I should not be proud of myself. There is no reason to be proud of myself. Connor Estelle is not a bearer of the gospel. Connor Estelle is a guy who needs help, right? He's a guy who needs Christ's mercy and love the most because he's not doing well, right? And I think that we have to have that humility to say that we got to always strive to be better Catholics. We always got to strive to be bearers of Christ, because if we're not, we're just causing scandal. We're just, operating in a way where, we beat our chest and we act all pious and stuff like that. And dude, I've seen people like that before. I mean, I've gone to some parishes, in Colorado or across the country where, the type. It's the guy who, I remember there was this one dude one time, and I'm not trying to rag on him a bunch. I get he's on his own journey and just trying to be a good Catholic. And, he probably has faults that I don't have, and he has virtues that I don't have, and vice versa, right? But, he's like wearing his crucifix, and it's like, just like kind of dangling, like he's got his like shirt collar and a tie, but it's like just dangling outside of his shirt and his collar. And he's operating in this way where it's this kind of like, oh, charmed to meet you. And, oh, that's very interesting. And this and that. And this kind of like, above it all, like I'm better, I'm holier than thou, first seat in the synagogue kind of attitude. And I'm like, dude, all of us need God's mercy, man. Like maybe you're not really a bad Catholic, but if you're a good Catholic, are you portraying yourself in the way that communicates that? Is being this kind of like prideful, full of yourself type dude really bearing Christ? Or is it actually like kind of trying to depict yourself in a way that's very disingenuous? And I think it's the latter, not the former. And when people interact with something like that, it's like, Whitey said it in chat, there's no limit to the LARP. It's that kind of guy that will sometimes struggle with like the worst sins imaginable. And we shouldn't dog on him for that, right? But it's like we talked last, or actually the episode before that, the measure you give is the one that you get. If you're someone who's uncondemning and you don't look down on other people and you're not like, that person's a piece of shit because they're bad at following the gospel and stuff like that, right? And you don't act that way and you act humble, then you will have God's mercy. And you also have the humility to conquer whatever you're dealing with. But if you're super full of yourself all the time and you walk around like your shit doesn't stink and you're the man, you're the model of Catholicism or what have you. Well, when you fall, you're going to fall like an elephant, man. You will fall like an elephant. And oftentimes these are the people that can't own up to who they are. They've got every excuse in the book. Oh, well, I'm just this way because, I haven't been getting good sleep, or, this other person tempted me, or this or that. And it's everyone else's fault, right? It's everyone else's fault, never your own. Everyone else is to blame. You're just the perfect Catholic, right? Blameless as the driven snow. White as the driven snow. Nothing can be pinned on you. You're just perfect in every way. What kind of attitude does that send? And you see even oftentimes the ways that these guys try to talk to God, and it's like they're trying to act out a Shakespeare play, right? They're not wanting to talk with God in that like personal walking with a friend way. They're always like, Lord, I am exalted upon all others, and mine virtue only comes from thee. And look, if that's the way that you actually talk, then blessed be God. That's great, man. Like, there's nothing wrong with the actual language. But if you are in a position where you're trying to put this picture perfect cookie cutter image of yourself before God, dude, you can fool me, but you're not going to fool him. You can fool me, but you're not going to you're not going to fool he who gave you life and made you. Talk normal to God, man. He wants the real you. He doesn't want this image that you're trying to put forth. Right? And I mean, this ties back into our apologetics thing, right? It's image. And look, we all, as content creators and stuff like that, we all have an image, right? It's just part of the thing, right? It's part of being on the internet. I'm not ever going to give anyone shit for having an image or what have you. I mean, look, you're not going to, be like, yeah, and then, yesterday I woke up and I was scratching my hairy ass and I got out of bed. It's like TMI, bro. We're not going to, delve into that level of authentic, like that's a little too sincere, right? But at some point, when you start to become like a brand and you're no longer a human being, you're not acting in a sincere way. Be sincere. Be who you actually are. Be who you are when the camera is off, right? We may all play it up for the camera a little bit. That's just part of entertaining. But you need to try and be the same person you are off camera as you are on camera. And nobody's going to be perfect at that, man, right? Again, everyone's got an image, but it's like half these Instagram apologists, like, they'll always, I feel like it's like one of those cycles, right? They'll be like super feminists, and they'll be like, girls are, there's these sexist, misogynist guys out here that are really giving the girls crap, right? Don't worry, I'm a good guy. And then it's like 5 months later, all the DMs are leaked, and it's like, hey baby, what if we drew this vor art together where you were swallowing me whole and you were also my goth mommy, muscle mommy, GF. And then it's like, wow, man. Wow. So 5 months ago, I was being called a porn addict for just like criticizing the way that this girl operates. But then the DMs get leaked, and it's like, this guy's always like, mommy, I want... It's always like, mommy, I want to smell your stinky feet, right? It's like they're always, it's man, if the pot ain't calling the kettle black, you know what I mean? It's so prototypical. Right? It's so prototypical. And it's, again, because this is like a brand for them. Right? It's no different than wellness influencers or, freaking, people who do video game reviews or whatever. It's this typical kind of, right, just attitude of holier than thou and I'm imperfect and I'm infallible and all that kind of stuff. And then it's like when the DMs get leaked or there's the inevitable controversy with the same girl bosses that they were defending or whatever, well, you know, how the elephant falls, right? It's, there is a little bit of projection there going on, right? And it's the typical thing, man. And sometimes, and look, that's not even that common, but it's like, sometimes these guys are like assholes in real life. Like you go up to them and you try to have a conversation and it's like just super disingenuous. Like they try to put on a happy face and a, smile on camera, but then it's like you actually go to talk with them and they're super not kind. They don't really have your best interests at heart. They're not talking with you, they're talking through you. It's a very unpleasant experience. It's a very unpleasant experience. And so all this is to say is like, when doing apologetics, you have to defend our faith and you also have to try to be a sincere person. Try to be a sincere person. Just try to be how you actually are. I know Protestants, like evangelicals, use this term a lot, but this is actually a very true thing. Give testimony, man. Like give your testimony and be honest with it, right? Be like, well, this is what God did in my life. This is where I was before, or this is, what I was dealing with, or this is, how I felt or what I was going through or where I was at when I first encountered him. And that will go a longer way with someone than if you're just trying to add the glossy Instagram filter and you're trying, and these people also water down the faith too, right? It's like they're uncomfortable with saying extra ecclesiam nulla salus. There is no salvation outside the church. They're uncomfortable with talking about the actual sexual ethics that the Catholic Church does teach, right? They're uncomfortable with talking negatively about feminism. They are uncomfortable about talking about how heresy actually, and when I say heresy, I'm not even talking about like non-Catholics who, were just born Protestant or didn't, never were Catholic or what have you, but like people who claim to be Catholic and dissent from even one teaching in the church, that's heresy. And these people will always cut their teeth and they're like, no, that's actually error and that's not heresy. And so Father James Martin is actually erroneous, but he's not heretical because he didn't technically deny the Trinity. It doesn't matter, dude. Charity is the favorite word of these types of people. I mean, they literally throw that word like throwing darts at a dartboard all the time. Charity, 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 charity. And yes, charity is the foundation of our faith, but they don't have a proper conception of what that means. Yes, and contrary to how they're going to, I already know the response, right? If one of these guys was watching the stream, they'd be like, oh yeah, because being a groiper and calling people retard is really charitable. I get it, man. Yes, we shouldn't be like personally insulting people and stuff like that. I probably do that a little too much, to be honest, right? You're right. At the same time, though, watering down the faith is also not the way. Two wrongs don't make a right. These people always try to get sort of an out by saying, oh, well, at least I'm not calling people names. Yeah, but you're also not bearing the faith. I agree, calling people names is not the best, and we shouldn't do it. But you also have to be willing to share the faith with people, even if it's going to cause controversy. These people are allergic to controversy. And when I say controversy, I mean the right kind. Right? And when I say these, I'm not even just beating up on Connor, right? I'm talking about this whole mindset. Because it's not just him. It's like a million other people, right? It's the people that will create the Instagram slides and panels being like, there's a lot of Catholics on this app that really hate Jews. And that's a sin. And it's like, dude, most people do not hate Jews, okay? Like, yes, I'm sure that there are those like LARPy guys who are unironically like National Socialists and they do think that Hitler was like some hero or whatever, right? certainly those exist, but like the majority of people literally just want them to stop blaspheming our Lord. Well, that's hating him, and you can't do that actually. You don't understand Catholicism. Bluntly put. This browbeating and this moral fagging is also not Catholic. And it's not moral fagging because they're saying difficult things that people don't want to hear. There is time to correct someone and be like, hey man, like what you're doing right now is not good. Like what you're doing right now is actually not okay. Right? Like you know, you see your boy on social media and he's posting like girls in bikinis. That's not okay. Okay? Don't be doing that. He can't get out and be like, that's moral fagging, bro. No, that is actually immoral. That is immodest. You shouldn't be doing that, right? There's other times where it's like, maybe someone is being genuinely unkind. Don't be doing that, man. Right? But there is a difference between the admonishing of the sinner and browbeating people for things that actually Catholics do, right? Catholics do criticize Judaism. Get used to it and get uncomfortable with it, okay? Catholics do criticize feminism. Feminism is godless and evil. I mean, look at the reaction from Lindsay, though, again, we talked about it earlier. I'm not going to go into it super long, but look at the reaction, the whole Lindsay Clancy case. You're telling me that's not demonic? Look, putting aside my anti-feminism, if I'm putting on my just be a heckin' good human being hat, if a man murdered his children, would we not criticize it and say that's fucked up and wrong? Even if people were like, oh, but you don't understand, he was on SSRIs and really depressed. He was actually really depressed when he strangled his kids with an electrical cord. No, we'd be like, fuck you, dude. This guy just murdered his children. That's messed up. He should have the book thrown at him. So why is it when a woman does it, suddenly it's the most forgivable thing in the entire world? It's because let's be real, she has a hoo-ha, and again, the white knights of Instagram Catholicism come marching in on their steeds, and because they want some of it, let's be real, that's why they do this. That's why they're feminists. They want sex, right? Because they want women to pay them the time of day and attention, they're willing to even defend child murder. Right? They're willing to defend child murder if it means getting some yin yang. If it means getting some hoo-ha. It's despicable. You have to be willing to be controversial. You have to be willing to say difficult truths. Jesus, one of my favorite quotes, I can't remember who said it, but someone said a long time ago, it was maybe a video, it was maybe a saint quote or a bishop or a priest. Jesus was kind. Jesus was not nice. Jesus was kind. Jesus loved everyone he interacted with, and he was not unkind to a single person. There's not a single person in the gospel he was ever, in Acts, the gospel, there's not a single moment in a single saint vision or miracle or anything where Jesus is unkind. Jesus is always kind. If God is love, God is also kindness. God is his parts, right? Jesus is kindness. Jesus was not nice. He didn't spare people's feelings. And when I say he didn't spare people's feelings, I don't mean that he came along and said, oh, well, you're a retard or you're this. Again, I'm not advocating for that. But Jesus did say, you need to believe in this in order to follow me. Jesus, I'll follow you, but I need to go back home and bury the dead. I need to bury my father. Did Jesus say, dude, I totally understand, man. I get it, bro. this gospel thing, be me being the way, the truth, and the life, put that aside. Go bear. No, he looked at him and he said, let the dead lay with the dead. Pick up your cross and follow me. To the rich man, Lord, what must I do to be saved? Sell everything you own and follow me. As for my enemies, bring them here before me and slaughter them. Sell your cloak and buy a sword. Get behind me, Satan. These are all things that our Lord said, and none of these things lacked kindness. He loved the people that he said this to. The man who wanted to bury his father, he wasn't saying, flip off, I don't want to. No, he wanted him to follow him. He wanted him to have life, but he said, this is the way that you need to have life. There is no other way. There's no other path. There's no other option. This is the way. I don't want a Catholicism that's comfortable with me. I want the faith. I don't want who I think God is. I want God. I don't want who I think Christ is. I want Jesus Christ. And that's what we should all want. I know you guys do too. You want the real God. You don't want a God of comfort or a God of imagination or the way you want to perceive God. You want the true God. You want God as he is, not how someone else tells you he is. And the problem with the way that at least these particular Catholics do apologetics is that they really are so willing to just give who they think, oh yeah, the bird chirping is my grandpa's bird clock. I gotta probably put it in another room. They want their own God. And that's the God they want to sell on social media, but they don't want to give people the true Lord. And the true Lord didn't go around calling people names and stuff like that. Again, that's not what we're advocating for. The true Lord did say difficult things. Jesus did say, there is no salvation outside of me. And thus, because God is his church, there is no salvation outside of his church. I am sorry. I know that's difficult to hear. It is the truth. Being a gay person isn't a sin, just the behavior. If that is the lifestyle that you are trying to embody and live, that is a sin. Yes, it is true that just having the temptation is not a sin, right? Because we all have temptations. They're not sins in of themselves. But when you have people on social media saying, I'm a gay Catholic, but I'm celibate. Nope, I'm sorry. You got to cut that shit out, man. That is not Catholic. You are identifying with sin. It doesn't matter how deeply you have those urges or those feelings or what have you. You can't be gay and go to heaven. If you're identifying with those urges, you're identifying with sin. You have to repent and pick up your cross. Well, listen, I'm against abortion, okay? But being pro-life also means building homes for the homeless and letting millions of migrants into our country. And those issues have as equal weight as literally preventing a child from being sucked out of their mother's womb and cut up with a vacuum. Because those are definitely morally equivalent issues. Yeah, building a house for the homeless guy where, he can literally just stay in the homeless shelter overnight and be fine is definitely the moral equivalent of cutting up a baby in the womb and then sucking out the dead child with a vacuum. You've got to be fucking kidding me, man. This is what I'm talking about. This is this downplaying, this watering down, this mix in the mud, doing all this stuff to obscure the truth. You know what you tell people? I love you so much that I want you to know that there is no salvation outside the Catholic Church. And that's why I want you to be a part of the Catholic Church. I love you so much that I hate seeing you live out a homosexual lifestyle, and I want you to repent of that and have a new life of grace that God wants to give you. I love you so much that I don't want you to have a disordered view of what it means to be pro-life. I want us to fight for the rights of children and the rights of the unborn across the face of the earth. That's how much I love you. I love you so much, I'm wanting to share the truth with you. That is real love, my friends. Love is patient, love is kind. And love is truthful. And if we're not saying the truth because we want to dance around it and say a truth that's comfortable with people, then we're not bearing witness to the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're bearing witness to our own gospel. The influencer culture, we got to cut that shit, man. Because that's, again, the kind of mindset it creates. It's always about my gospel, my truth, not the gospel and God's truth. God's law above all else. God's way above all else, because he is the way. And I don't doubt that you're going to be persecuted for that, dude. It is a hateful world. But if you are willing to talk about the gospel, I'm going to tell you something right now. This is what you signed up for. If you're worried about people unfollowing you on Instagram or unfollowing you on X or not watching your videos anymore or not paying for that cup of coffee or what have you, brother, I'm sorry. This is what you signed up for. Okay? It isn't easy. It isn't easy. Living the gospel is not easy, and bearing witness to the gospel is not easy. There will be people who hate you, and guess what? Do not cast pearls before swine. If you've shared the faith in a charitable way, right, you've communicated the truth in love, you've done all you can. I'll tell you guys a story, and I don't mind name dropping him because he is kind of a reprobate. I'm going to be completely honest. But there's that Joel Davis and stuff like that. There's that I can't even remember what National Socialist group they're a part of, right? But it's that Australian National Socialist group, right? Thomas Sewell, Joel Davis, all those guys, right? I have not gotten along with those guys. I do not like those guys at all, right? Because they're they're satanic. Like they are like actually evil. I'm sorry, right? It goes well beyond for them just being pro-white. They are actually full of hate. And you can be like, oh, you're a cuck for saying that or whatever. This is the gospel, man. I'm sorry. We're called to love, not actually hate people. So you don't really have a problem with me. You've got a problem with the gospel. Mike said it, National Socialist Network. Yeah, that's right. NSN. Right? Not a fan of them. One of their guys, Michael or whatever his name is, right? I was DMing with for a bit. And, he was asking me some questions and stuff like that. And I was trying to share the gospel with him. And he's like, I have a problem with Gaudium et Spes, one of the documents of Vatican II. And I thought he was going to bring up like, oh, it promotes secular humanism or whatever. And I was going to go in and show, no, it doesn't actually promote the social kingship of Christ. Here's the paragraph that says it, et cetera, et cetera. I thought it was going to be just a typical objection. He proceeds to tell me that because Gaudium et Spes says we should treat like migrants with human dignity, right? It doesn't say let them into your country in droves or by the millions or let them immigrate or whatever. That's not what the document says. Just treat people with dignity. That's all it says. Your neighbor, person sitting right next to you, the person sitting on the bus, and including these migrants, right? Just treat them with human dignity. Everyone's made in the image of God. And I looked at him and I'm like, well, what's the issue? Like, we're called to treat everyone with dignity. This kid dead ass texts me back. He's like, I disagree. I think we should bomb boats. And he's not like, look, I will be a little real for a moment. If he was talking about like what was going on in Italy right now or what was going on in Spain, yeah, those guys are deserving of that. They are invaders, right? He was talking about bombing like women and children. And I'm like, dude, like per Catholic teaching, you can deport them and protect your border. Like that's not against Catholic teaching. In fact, that's supported by the church, right? But like killing innocent women and children, like what the fuck is wrong with you? And I have never seen someone who had a bigger block to the gospel than him. He literally, I remember he was like, oh, my trad priest wouldn't baptize me. And at first he was like pretending like it was because he stated some like truism or some true teaching about, or not true teaching, some truth about like, white people are being attacked or killed or whatever, right? And then he's saying this shit to me and I'm like, good, honestly, I'm sorry, you are not ready to be baptized. You're a monster, dude. Like straight up. You are not a good person. And I blocked him after that. I'm like, we're done, dude. I've communicated the gospel to you. I've said what the church teaches, and you clearly have your heart bought over to Satan. I'm going to be honest. A lot of these kind of Wignat types do. Peter brought it up in chat and he follows me on X, but I'm, hey, like I said earlier, I'm no stranger to controversy or stirring the pot, but Zoomer Historian openly insults the Vicar of Christ, he said. And he's right. He does. And that's completely unacceptable. And it's not that he can't make criticisms of Pope Leo and say, like, we bow before your dignity. Like, come on, man. Like, these people are invaders, That would be understandable and completely accepted in Catholic teaching, right? You can have that reasonable disagreement as a Catholic with the Pope. That's fine. But no, let's insult the Vicar of Christ. Let's denigrate his position. Let's denigrate who he is. Because that's really godly. That's a really Catholic attitude. Unacceptable. And the way that these guys always try to depict it is like, oh, you're like a cuck who wants your wife to be sleeping with a black man and this and that. And it's like, this is a completely false dichotomy. Nobody has ever said anything about not protecting our race, not protecting our borders, not protecting our countries, not protecting the white identity of Europe and America, right? That is completely supported by Catholic teaching and the church. But if you think you're going to go in there and unironically do this siege, Turner Diaries type bullshit, no, that's not Catholic. That is not supported by the Catholic Church. That is not supported from Catholic teaching whatsoever. And this kind of attitude is just disgraceful. And so I bring that story up as an example of don't cast pearls before swine. And I know, people are also going to accuse me, oh, you just brought that up because it's easy to punch right. Dude, punch whatever direction is not upholding the gospel. This orc-looking chick, she's like, well, I think babies aren't babies in the womb and they should just be killed. I'm sorry, I'm not casting pearls before swine anymore. You're a reprobate. I will pray to God that he has mercy on your soul because you are a clear reprobate and you want to kill children. I have said all that I've needed to say in adequately defending the rights and dignity of unborn children. Your heart is given over to Satan. And it is okay to say that. Maybe I shouldn't have called her an orc. That was a little uncharitable. I will admit that. Don't call people names, right? But if you're interacting with one of these people and they say some evil bullshit like that, and they are not changing anytime soon, First and foremost, actually endeavor to pray for them. Don't say that in a facetious way. Literally do pray for them, because they can always change. God can move any heart. God can move mountains. Nothing is impossible for God. No one is ever truly lost until they decide to persist in their rejection of him. So as long as someone is alive, there is still time to repent. But if any of these people, right? If any of these people choose to not believe in the gospel after you've bared accurate witness, you've supported it, you've defended it with facts, reason, and logic and everything, dust off your shoes and walk to the next town. There is no reason to concern yourself with them anymore. They are given over to Satan. And the only thing that is going to unimpair them from being given over to him is just praying for them. Prayer can move mountains. That is the only thing that's going to move their heart. You have done your job. If you have adequately defended the teachings of the church and the teachings of our faith, you have done your damn job, bro. Don't try to bend over backwards. Don't try to, oh, well, maybe if I put Catholic teaching in this light and basically water it down so it's not the teaching anymore. Don't do any of that. If you have bore witness to Christ, you've done your mission. Your work is done. Well done, good and faithful servant. Just go and pray for them. And like I said, actually pray for them. Don't do the, crusader, oh, that person's given over to Satan for, well, I'm not dogging on the crusaders, but you know what I mean? Like, trad crusader 1488 thing where it's like, F that person, I'm not going to pray for them, right? Actually endeavor to pray for them. But give them over to God. He is the only one that can save them. You've done your job. So it's very important for us to remember that teaching from Christ. At some point, don't cast pearls before swine anymore, dude. They have made up their mind that they want to follow Satan. They have made up their mind that they want to follow him down into the pit. It's not your job to follow it down. It is not your job to follow them down into that same pit. If you're watering down Catholic teaching, you are following them down to that same pit. Do not endeavor to do that. Just focus on God. Real quick, I do need to use a restroom, but I will start playing this debate so you guys are entertained and you're not just watching a blank screen or whatever. I will play this debate. We're going to go over, not the entire debate, but just a little bit of this and stuff like that, and kind of talk about TikTok debate culture, some problems with it and stuff like that. Jesus, and none of this is directed at Jesus whatnot. He's a great man, did a phenomenal job here. I think I just more want to cover like how we've kind of not even reached the end of TikTok debate culture, but how there never really was a beginning. But we'll get into that. I'm just going to go use the restroom real quick because I've been drinking this water like crazy.
It's going to be a very good conversation. I'm actually waiting for her to join right now. Oh, there she is. She just joined up.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Amazing. Well, thank you for having me today. I think it's going to be a blast.
Yes, I am very, very excited to chat with you. I've seen quite a few videos of yours, and I do appreciate, the fact that you can throw in some humor into that you might also have. I think it's very entertaining to see at the least.
Thank you. And you have a large audience.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you right now. My internet connection might be bad. Could you say that one more time?
I said you have a pretty big audience.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why. I don't say anything that interesting, but I would agree it is a lot of people.
Yeah, your connection was dropping a little bit, but hopefully it's not coming from my end.
Yes. People are asking if you could possibly lower your audio just a little bit. They're saying it is a little bit loud. If there's any way to do that.
Let me know.
Yes. Sound should be better now. I'll let you know what they say. But fun fact for everybody tuning in, this will actually be my first time talking to a woman. So at least that's something that will be groundbreaking here. And I am really excited to have this conversation. A lot of people were calling for moderators, but I think we decided against that. We came to an agreement where we would not have moderators for this debate. And I think that both of us are adults. We can both be respectful, and I don't think it'll be a problem at all. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. So thank you so much for hearing me out on that. To me, it's like, I think it'd be better for you and I to have a dialogue rather than a monologue for a long time. And then we just kind of sit there. So I think this would be more engaging. This is how I do my debates. So I do appreciate you adapting to that. But I think it'll be great.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
I was muted. Dang, sorry for the delay, gang. I was peeing like a racehorse. That I didn't realize how full pee I was. I probably replenished the Hoover Dam with that one. Top 10 reasons women shouldn't be online. So true. Let's see here. So we're gonna skip a little bit. I mean, we don't really need like introductions and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
We'll have an open dialogue. You can tell me when you're done with your sort of rebuttal, if you want to call it, and then we'll just go back.
Sure. So do you always set your YouTube chat, just real quick, do you always set your YouTube chat to sub only?
No, tonight I did, but I can take that off if you would like.
Yeah, people are saying they're not really sure why you did that. So I just wanted to let you know that people were not happy about that. But yeah, it's up to you. You know, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, no, I can open up the
because they were able to chat before it started, so they were like, "Wait, I was in the middle of a conversation," and you know.
Yeah, no, I will change that while you give your rebuttal.
Okay, well, I do appreciate that. Thank you for your 7 premises. Potency. Okay, so the funny thing about philosophy, it's a lot of crazy language. It's a lot of phrases. It's a lot of words. But let's be honest, it all can be summarized into one thing. We don't know what happened before God of the gap, so it must be God. So every argument you're going to give me tonight, whether it's potency, whether it's the logic of philosophy, metaphysics as a whole, PSR, all of it's going to end up being, here's all my reasons why it has to be God. Do I know it's God? No. But is it my guess? Yes. Why? Because I love God, right? So with the potency thing, everything needs, everything is formed in a certain way. Everything must be made by an outside source. You know, I've heard your thing about the cell phone with the camera could be on the other side or blah, 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 blah. In my opinion, yes, things like lighters, things like cell phones, and things like pencils all have a maker. You can trace that back to an actual maker. But natural processes like the beginning of the universe, how things came to be, how trees grow, how babies are born, all of that happens through evolution. All of that happens through natural process.
Dude, piss Mike went, okay, that's a little too freaky. All right, pal. We're we're here, but we're not that freaky. All right. Let's see. Is she balding? Yeah, dude, what is going on with this forehead, bro? Like this is some crazy work right here. I mean, that thing is like, I could see that thing like I could see the Great Wall of China from space. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you guys have watched Naruto, you know Sakura always gets like crap for having a big forehead, but it's like, my girl is like Sakura times 2. Like that thing is stacked. That's crazy.
Processes. So to me, it's kind of funny that we're trying to get to the point of infinite regress, that everything has to have a start, and that start was God, but you're using examples that were honestly made by people. So to me, that's not a good example, because you could trace who's the first trucker who invented a pencil or a lighter. By the way, why do you have a lighter?
For incense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can trace all of these material objects back in time, but with natural processes, the beginning of the universe or evolution or babies or trees, there's a natural process. So I think it's doesn't really make a lot of sense to be using material objects rather than, natural means, because we're talking about the beginning of the universe here. And you're a Catholic, right?
Yes.
So you agree with like the Big Bang and all of that kind of stuff?
We don't have a dogmatic position on that.
Oh, what's your position on it?
Well, we can talk about that after, but I want to address real quick.
Sure.
You brought you brought up the God of the gaps, and I would like to point out, I think you misused that. The God of the gaps is a fallacy that occurs when there is a gap in scientific knowledge, and then they just say,
Yeah.
"Oh, God must have done that." So, for
Yeah,
example,
that's what you're
like
saying.
the Greeks, well, yeah. So the Greeks would look at like the sun rising every day, and they'd be like, "We don't know how the sun rises, therefore it's God." But what I'm doing is not saying there's a gap in our knowledge. I'm actually saying that our knowledge leads directly to a being that we can define as God. So I'm saying,
Hey cuties. Sorry, I had to try and change. Dude, my monitor that I got, I really like it. It's like a curved monitor, but it doesn't have a big enough like kind of lip to, cuz like what I use for a light is this, but if you look at the clip, like that thing would break my monitor if I clipped it on. So it's not like my old monitor, which was a lot worse, where it had like a bigger kind of like lip on it that I could attach it. It's like I have to kind of like I have to suspend it on my MacBook here, but we're just trying to get that angle, you know what I mean? I got to show off the work a little bit.
that since we can logically conclude a first unmoved mover, and we can logically conclude the being and the attributes of that being, we can then say that we know that how we're defining God is accurate. So there's actually no gap in my knowledge. There's nothing I'm filling in with God.
You
It's
are.
just a logical conclusion.
So here's the thing. If God can exist without an explanation, why couldn't the universe exist without one? Listen, just because we don't have the answer to what happened right before the Big Bang doesn't automatically mean it's a sky wizard that grants wishes to white men. Okay, that makes no sense. You're saying there can't be an explanation without God. I'm saying, why couldn't the universe fall under those same?
So, you know, I'm really glad she made that comment, because this is actually going to touch on the reason why we're reacting this debate. We're not just reacting this debate to react to atheist debates. I mean, there's a million debates we could react to that would do the same thing. With this TikTok debate culture, you know, there's one of these niche atheist content creators, right? It's Parker, it's Dean Withers, it's any of those guys. It's her. I don't think that there is anything to be gained from talking with people like this. I'm going to be honest. I don't think a lot of them are smart enough. I don't think a lot of them come from a genuine place of wanting to understand. I think that there are examples of people who are active on those platforms that, you know, are more intellectual figures or people to engage with. This, you know, a sky wizard to pray, so white men can pray to, like, you know, it's that clip of King Pluto. Yo, Steven Universe, cut this shit out, bro. It's like, cut this shit out, dog. Cut this shit out. Like these people have such a mental block that at this point we're just NASCAR circling around them. There's nothing to be gained from someone like this. It's the snark, it's the gay affect they learned from like early 2000s movies and Glee, you know, oh honey, oh those white men, oh those sky daddies and the sky wizards. Yeah, of course. All right, did you get that after you were on Fire Island or something, or you know, did you learn that on your own? Great. There's nothing to be gained in talking with these people. There's something to be gained in talking with some atheists or what have you who are more intellectual, more academic. You know, they're maybe talking about an argument they learned from David Hume or what have you. Right? There's something to be gained there. These people are egotistical Redditors who have a nice camera and a microphone, and that's how they make rent in their one-bedroom studio apartment in the middle of LA, and that's it. I don't think we should give them any air. And I find it's going to be a very hot take. I find it a little insulting. And I'm not saying Jesus and whatnot is doing this. He's not. He's doing a great job. Jaw's not doing this. He's doing a fantastic job. I don't want to give these people any air. Your worldview is so repulsive and disgusting and beneath all of us that you don't the big kids are talking. You don't even deserve to enter into this. Great. You have 10,000 followers on TikTok. I don't give a fuck. Okay? That's 10,000 Lindsay Clancy supporters, and we all know their intelligence and IQ, right? We all know how high those women are thinking, right? And the dudes who simp for you in your Discord. I have nothing to gain from talking with you. There is no to have to listen to you speak for 2 hours and insult my lord. There's nothing to gain. Whitey name drop someone who would be worth talking to. Alex O'Connor, right? That's a smart guy, very well read, very intelligent. That is a person that hopefully through your witness to them, you can give witness to Alex and you can give witness to his fans so that they can accept the gospel of Jesus Christ. Someone like this, it's not that I don't want her to accept the gospel, I do. And it's not us trying to be like, well, you're just a reprobate, so screw you and go to hell. No, we want everyone to accept the gospel. But someone like this the term that comes to mind is self-indulgent. They're self-indulgent. They've made up their mind before they've ever even entered the room. They've made up their mind. Christianity is sky daddy religion and white men controlling people using the church, right? What do I have to say to you? I mean, at this point, it's like, I don't think that there's anything that is going to be said to you that is going to like sway your mind or what have you. So it's just self-indulgent. Right? We'll run circles around these people. I'm not ashamed of our religion to absolutely destroy these people in a debate. It's super easy. I mean, not trying to brag. I've had some difficult debates that I do not feel like I won. My debate against the other Paul, he did a freaking phenomenal job. That guy is a savant. That was a tough freaking debate, right? I don't really like him a whole lot. You know, you guys know my thoughts on him. But honestly, I don't feel like he won or anything. I feel like I actually did a pretty good job. But like me and Luigi, right? That was a pretty strong back and forth and stuff like that. He brought up some things. I brought up some things, right? It was a strong back and forth. I felt like it was a strong showing on both ends. And I can put our beef aside to just be objective and say, I think it was a strong showing from both perspectives, right? Adam Green, I wiped the floor with. And I know that sounds prideful, but he is emblematic of what I'm talking about. Adam Green is not smart. I'm not even well studied in atheism, to be honest. I don't really feel that confident going into these kinds of debates because I haven't studied all the arguments. I feel much more comfortable debating like a liberal mainline Protestant or maybe an Eastern Orthodox guy or a Protestant than I do an atheist. Not because atheism isn't easy to debate, but it's one of those things where I didn't grow up around a lot of atheism, and so it just is not something I'm as well studied in, right? I'm not well studied in it, so I don't want to act arrogant. But Adam Green was such a goofball that even someone like myself, who I was not that well studied in atheism and I was still able to wipe the floor with them, that should tell you everything we need to know. He is emblematic. You know, he's a more edgy version of born again atheist because he talks about Jews, right? But it's exactly that. And they're always arrogant and full of themselves. You know, Mark Brahman, Richard Spencer, and whenever you get down to talking to them, it's not even a really intellectual feat. they don't have any real intellectual objections to Christianity. Like, here's why the resurrection is wrong, or here's why the facts can't be verified, right? It's that their objection is an emotional one. You know, you've got Fat Richard Spencer, who's like, well, you know, I just think that Christians are beneath us intellectually, right? They're just beneath us intellectually, and that's why I date a single mom, and I wrote a book about Marvel Comics. You're not that smart, dude. Okay? So, with this TikTok debate culture, I'm sorry, these people are so beneath us that I don't even think they should be gratified with a debate. I really don't feel like they should be gratified with even the time of day. It's very easy for them to beat their chest and just come in all confident and stuff like that. I mean, this Foyd literally during the debate brings up sola scriptura, and she thinks it's biblical inerrancy. Like, girl, you're not well studied enough to even talk about this. Like go open a dictionary and then we'll maybe have a conversation after that.
Properties, or
Yes,
just fuck, I can make up anything. Fucking Tooth Fairy, fucking the spirit of Harry Styles. I could use anything, and this could still apply, and your argument would still remain the same. You wouldn't change any of your premises if you use the Tooth
The spirit of Harry Styles. Yes, you got her. You got him. You got Ja on that girl. Really, we're doing flying spaghetti monster bullshit. Like, it's that clip of Nick hitting the green screen and saying, please get me out of this nightmare. Please get me out of this nightmare, bro. This is so like again, it's like, we got a badass here. Whoa. Oh, so you're telling me you're an atheist? You said the word fuck? Whoa, dude, you're edgy as hell. You go, girl. Fingernail paint emoji and everything. Yeah. Uh-huh. I bet all 5 gay men watching you just went, oh, she went there. She went there, pal. Man. We need to just start. I don't even know. We just need to start arresting these people. It's gotten that bad. It's gotten that bad. We just need to start arresting these people.
Barry, Bigfoot, the spirit of Harry Styles.
She just needs a MAGA C word. Laffy, which MAGA C word are you talking about? I think I know which one, but I just want to confirm we're on the same mindset. I think we are.
So you've confused my argument with explanation. I'm talking about motion, something going from potency to actuality.
But here's my thing though.
So I'm not asking about explanations.
We're talking about explanation. We're talking about, but then all of this all sums to the same thing. You're saying that motion, that mover, the one who pushes you, must be God. And when we get to the next one, PSR, it's going to be the same thing. Who put the ball on the floor? Oh, it must be a mover. It must be the putter. It must be the ball guy. Must be ballies, right? You're going to have the same response for every one of these arguments. I'm just preparing everybody. It's going to be a wild ride of the same conversation for the next however long you want to continue. But yes, we are specifically talking about a mover. In my opinion, why does it have to be God? Why couldn't it just be explained with the universe? Why can't the universe have a mover without it being a sky wizard? You know what I mean?
Because
and it's
the universe has potency, so it can't be the being.
But we don't know because
bro. Also, someone said it in chat. Peter said it in chat. The honestly, most of the worst people are like ex-evangelicals that are now atheists. It's the typical church hurt. Like, my pastor said that the Israelites wiping out the Canaanites was actually really good, and that was like low key messed up because it was just like another event that happened in history. Right. She was probably told by like some older guy at, her Buffalo Wild Wings church that actually booty shorts is not acceptable to even wear to a Protestant church. And that's where the church hurt came from, right? When the women go through it, it's always a dime a dozen. Like when it's guys, I know this is mean, but we're just gonna be honest. Sometimes we need to be a little honest. When it's men, they're always gay. When it's guys, it's literally, I discovered my sexuality and I just realized I couldn't follow Christianity because of how bigoted it is, right? Fingernail pain emoji. All the guys are gay that are ex-evangelicals, every single one. They're always homosexuals, or they're always bi, or whatever freakish thing they've decided to live out. When it's women, it's always about things getting stuffed. Let's be a little real. They want to go be a hoe. They want to go live it up on the town and spread it for nickels and dimes, and that's why they're an atheist. It's has nothing to do with truth. It has nothing to do with they had this sudden epiphany one day that God wasn't real or what have you. It is, to be fair, the evangelicals who convert to Catholic. We're not talking evangelical, like we're not talking evangelicals that become Catholic. They're awesome. They're the best people and most holy people ever. We're talking ex-evangelical to atheist pipeline. These women spread it for a ham sandwich. Let's be honest. Like, this is always how it goes. And again, I can hear the Trent Horns of the world being like, that's really mean, or that's super uncharitable, or you don't know where that person's coming from. Every single case I've ever seen of a former ex-evangelical girl, it's always that. It's always that. Now, some of the IRL ones that are not like anti-dogmatically Christian, sure, maybe it's just they weren't praying as much and they just fell away from the community. I've seen that too, right? They don't have a TikTok show. The ones that always go on like TikTok and make it their whole thing and make it their whole personality and being like, I'm totally not angry at Christianity. That's just why I talk about it all the time. I'm not bothered, by the way. Here's my not bothered hat. I'm just not bothered. I'm not bothered. Guys, I don't even think about Christianity. That's why I bring it up all the time. Oh yeah, really? You don't think about Christianity at all, right? And Peter said in chat, religious trauma, and it's just not being able to be a degenerate slut. That's what it is. Look, sometimes you got to be brutally honest, and that's what it is. It's with these women that create the TikToks. Again, I met a lot of IRL women where that was not the case. They just didn't know better, or maybe they heard something that shook their faith or whatever. And they just don't make it. They're more like a lapsed Christian, right? They're more like agnostic or lapsed or whatever. I don't think in that case it was because they wanted to be like degenerate or whatever. These dogmatically atheist chicks, it's always because they want to be spread like butter on Texas toast. Let's be real. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm tired of being overly nice. Like, just say you want to be a gross degenerate. It would save us a lot of time. They always try to opine these like intellectual reasons, but it's the classic Saint Jerome quote. Who's got the quote? It is rare to find a heretic that loves chastity. And in this case, these women do not love chastity at all, right? And to be more kind, right? I know that was very harsh, but to be more kind, these women also live very sad lives. Oftentimes, they're always like, I'm happy without God, and I'm super happy. And then, alarm clock, beep 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 beep, boom, wakes up. First thing, SSRIs. First thing, antidepressants. First thing, fifth of Jack, fifth of vodka. I'm so happy without God. I have to get blackout drunk every night. There's a club in Denver called the Milk Bar. I've never been, but I've had a lot of friends that have gone there. And these are the girls you see at like the Milk Bar getting turned and just getting blackout drunk. And I wonder why. And I don't mean I wonder why. Because like I want them to suffer, I want them to have a bad life. I I feel really bad that that's the life that they've chosen. Right? Because God really does love them. We went harsh, but let's just be real. God really loves these people, and they, in their constant rejection of him, have just plunged themselves headlong into a life of hurt and into a life of pain. And they try to mask the pain by always like beating their chest and acting like nothing bothers them, and that they're definitely really not bothered by not having God in their life, but they absolutely are. It haunts them every single day. You can see it on their face, you can see it in their actions. You can see why a woman like this makes being an atheist her entire personality. It's true. It's completely true. And so, people like that sadly are the most hurt. And they're trying to nurse their hurt with things that will never truly fill the hole in their heart. Because I mean that hole in their heart was meant for God. That's the hole in all of our hearts, right? The empty space, the empty crevice in every single one of our hearts is meant for God. And they'll try to fill it with other things. They'll party, they'll post endlessly about how the Bible's wrong and it's outdated and stuff like that. And it's like at the end of the day, what are they continually thinking about? They're continually thinking about God. Because they know in the deepest part of their being, in the deepest part of their nature, that they were made for him. But when you run away from your calling, it never really leaves your mind or heart. When you run away from your fate or your destiny, it never really leaves your mind or your heart, and you constantly think about it. Right? It's sad. It's very, very, very sad, man. And look, I'll be blunt too. You can even be Catholic. You can even be a part of the church and be living in seasons of your life where you're not really living for God. And you try to fill that hurt with other things. You don't reject God, of course not. And you're not blaspheming the church, and you're not saying anti-Catholic things or whatever. Quite the opposite. Someone asks you, are you Catholic? You boldly say, yes, I am, and I love God and all that. But then, you're going to the club. You're talking to those girls. You're dousing yourself in immeasurable amounts of liquor. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? There's a movie clip that I saw a couple months ago, and I think it was a film about Saint Faustina's life. And Saint Faustina, she's at this ball and she's like dancing and stuff like that, and they're doing the, you remember at balls how they will do that kind of circular dance, like one person passes off the lady to the next, the guy passes off the lady to the next guy, and they spin around, and it's kind of like emotion to it, right? Like here's the guy and the girl, they'll spin around, and then he'll pass her off, and then she goes to another guy, and et cetera, et cetera. And when she's being passed off, she looks at an empty part of the crowd, and there's Jesus, and he's bloodied, and he's wearing the crown of thorns, and he looks up at her and he says, "How long will you keep me waiting?" And she's haunted. "How long will you keep me waiting?" And it hits her. It's like you can run from your destiny, and you can run, like, there's that verse in scripture that talks about the man with much knowledge is burdened with sorrow. And that applies to like a lot of different things. Like if you're red pilled, learning about the history of the world and learning about, um, what the Jews have been doing to us for 2,000 years, and, you know, uh, uh, the state of the world, what the revolution did to Europe, that stuff that makes you sorrowful, right? You learn about these man-made horrors beyond your comprehension, right? The plastic biscuits was the newest thing today. And I was like, great, man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. That burdens you with sorrow. And then there is a kind of burden, and I think this is the realest burden of all, where, you become Catholic, you went through OCIA, you went through your classes, you were confirmed, you knelt down at that altar, and for the first time you received the body and blood of our Lord. And you thought automatically for the rest of my life, that's it. I'm just going to be a devout Catholic, right? I'm going to be a saint. And then what happens when you aren't? What happens when the old demons come back? Where you find yourself in a new position where you're not praying as much. Maybe you get a new job. Maybe you move towns, and all your friends that kept you really grounded in the Catholic community aren't there, and you turn away. I think it's very easy for people to talk about your Catholic journey when you're super interested in the faith and you are expiating a lot of the things of your life that are not of God or what have you, but a lot of people don't talk about the after. It's kind of like when people become Catholic, we're just like, well, great, you're there. Well, dude, you're there. You're there. You've already done it. You've already been confirmed and everything. So there's nothing more you need to do. You're just good. And then you feel the emptiness and the sting of being like, I betrayed God. And I knew I betrayed him. Before, when, I was being a degenerate or living this life or living that way, I didn't know better, right? I didn't know better. And now I know, and it hurts all the more. And so suddenly you find yourself and you're not going to confession as much. You're not receiving the Eucharist, and maybe you're not even going to Mass. And you find yourself focusing on the faith a lot less. And you pass a church. Maybe you're driving past it or you're walking. And you look at that church and you're just like, man, I love him so much and I just can't show my face. It's like you desire nothing more in the world to just go back in there and be like, and throw off everything. It's almost like St. Francis, casting his clothes before the bishop. When he decided to renounce the world, it's like you want to go in there and tear your shirt and just say, I renounce it all. I don't want this life anymore. I don't want the way that I've been living. I don't want, the trappings of the world. But instead you just look for a moment, and then you look away and you turn away and you keep walking. But you're catching up with your friends, man. You're going to that cafe and you're catching up with your friends. You're going to that club. You're going to that fun thing. You're talking to that cute girl. And then in those moments of silence, when all the noise is basically fading around you, all the noise is playing around you, there's just that silence. In a world full of noise, there's sound everywhere, and yet you're just hearing silence. It's like those scenes in movies where, there will be the party going around somewhere, or someone, I should say, right? Going on around someone, people are talking and dancing, and the movie cuts out the sound. It's muffled, it's faded. The camera zooms in on the main character, and they're staring, deep in thought. That's you. And in that silence, you just hear one thing. And it's, you weren't made for this. You weren't made for this. And then you try to hide. You do exactly what Adam did in the garden when he realized he sinned against God. The first thing he did, rather than going back to God, right? First thing he did was, rather than going to the Lord and saying, I'm sorry, Lord, I turned away against you, and I just want your forgiveness, he hid. What did God cry out in the garden? Adam, where are you? Adam, where are you? You see, God knew what Adam did. God is omnipotent, omnipresent. Nothing's hidden from God. He wasn't asking that because something was hidden from God. God knew. You think God didn't know that Adam ate of the fruit of the tree of knowledge? He did. Nothing is unseen from God. So why did he ask Adam, where are you? He wanted to find his son. And in those moments of silence, where the world almost sounds like deafness around you, that the light and flashes and the noise of life taking place suddenly mutes, you hear that small voice in your heart. Adam, where are you? I can promise you, to anyone listening this who is living that right now, nothing that you do on the face of this earth will ever satisfy you except being with him. There is not enough liquor in the world that you can drink to numb the pain and emptiness that you're feeling. There is not enough drugs that you can shoot up, smoke, consume, pop, whatever you may do, to make that empty part of your heart feel full. There is not enough women in the world that you can sleep with to ever feel like someone loves you. Because all those things that you do, even sometimes good things like playing video games or going for hikes or working out, or getting your sleep schedule right, or any of the life maximization things we always hear about on social media, right? Even the good things, you could do those things to death. And you could do them for the rest of your life, and you could maximize them to the nth degree. But in that silence of your heart, when the world seems to pass away, and there is only you in that moment, you will never stop hearing into your heart, where are you, Adam? Stop running from God. You weren't made for this. You weren't made to be a walking corpse. And I know it's very easy to feel that way. Trust me, dude, I live it every damn day. Not to be down on myself. I know I do that too much, but I know this because I live this, right? I run from God all the time. You think I want to face him with all the things that I've done in my life and all the mistakes that I've made? No. I talk all the time about wanting to die for him, and I can't even face him. And yet, even in those moments, I still have to hear that voice. Where are you, Adam? At the heart of it all, at the heart of the shame, the guilt, the embarrassment, maybe the fear of what God might call you to, because there is that sometimes, right? There's fear. You don't know what God's going to call you to. You don't know what God's going to ask of you. And sometimes you worry if the burden that he asks of you is going to be something far greater than what you can handle or what you're willing to do. Beneath all of that is just his love. Beneath all of that is a still beating heart. That every pulse is your name. And it's calling out to you. It was this heart that stopped. And it was this heart that started again for you. When he died on the cross, and he was resurrected 3 days later. The very essence of life, the vita of life, starts and stops just for you. Because the foundation of everything we believe is love. And there's no one he loves more in this entire world than you. Don't turn and run. Because what's out there will never satisfy your heart. What's out there will never give you what you really want. You know, I think it's easy in our culture, right? Like with the looks maxing thing, or you know, the getting the bag and the entrepreneurship and maximizing your health, or being a bodybuilder, or what have you. There's this idea that if you just reach that peak, then you'll be happy. If you just reach that zenith, if you just reach that height, like climbing Everest, you will finally be happy. I can promise you that you won't. And it is all because it can never give you truly what you want. What you want and what you hunger for is God. And I've said that to people before, and they've been like, well, you know, dude, maybe that works for you, but it doesn't work for me. No, it's not about it working for me. It's not about it working for us. It's about that it is us. We are God's love. Why do you think any of us exist? We are the handiwork. We are the craftsmanship. God made one creature in his image, and it was mankind. It was man. You are literally made in his image. Why would he not love you? We have to realize that God is for everyone, and everyone is called to God, including this girl. And I know I've raked her over the coals and said probably not so nice things. That's something that, and honestly, look, I'll if I might ask of you guys, please pray for me on that. I think I just get very hurt seeing people say stuff about our Lord. You know what I mean? It's just hard to hear that. So whenever I hear that, I'm like, well, your forehead's big, or you're fat, or you're that, it's easy to lash out, but it's just because as much as that might not be kind, it's just because I don't want to see God hurt. You know what I mean? I think you guys feel the same way. But there's one thing that you need to take away. It's that you're made for God. Because you were literally made by him. You were made in his image, and you were the finest handiwork that he could have ever made. And that he did ever make. God looked at us and he said, you have dominion over all of this. All of creation is yours. Not to exploit, not to use for your own pleasure as you see fit, but to be given a gift that is far greater than any other mortal being could ever be given. You are made in my image. You have a sonship that never departs. Now remember, the Catechism says something to the effect of, as much as sin may blunt the image of God in us, or may distort it, or may wound it, can never destroy it. You are imprinted with his name. And so when you hear the word, the silence of your heart, you weren't made for this, it's literally true. You weren't made for this. You were made for something more. And you were made for me, and you belong to me. And nothing else has hold over you. See, there's the Catholicism of the internet, right? There's a Catholicism that says, like, everything's super easy, and it's just it's about buying these books off Amazon and doing this thing and watching this debate where this guy gets destroyed and that dude has this happen, and then your grandma gets cancer. And then you lose your job. And then you get in a really bad car crash and you're paralyzed from the neck down. And then you live in another country, and one day the government decides that it's okay to kill you because you're Catholic. And all the Instagram reels and all the videos and all the debates and stuff like that suddenly seems to just fade out into white noise. And you ask yourself what's left. And it again is that still beating heart. If you guys have discovered the faith through the internet, that's a beautiful thing, right? That's kind of what's cool about having the information superhighway. Any question you want to know, can be answered pretty easy, right? I use it every day, all the time. But if we think that we can just be up here, right? Just internet Catholicism, you know, these debates, these videos, these streams, these content creators, this. We are missing so much of the heart. The vita, the life. What gives us life? And that's where God wants to enter in. And so I think that's why, honestly, you know, tying back into what is apologetics and these debates and the TikTok stuff, I think that's why I'm offended by this debate culture the most. We have a world, we have a generation that's just sick and sad. And they're suffering. People are killing themselves in droves. And people don't know why they're here and why they exist and that their life has meaning. And, you know, we sit on TikTok and we're like, no, you're a retard because you said this and you said that. And, you know, this isn't someone who's engaging with us in good faith. This isn't someone who's trying to get to the bottom of the truth, or, you know, they have these qualms with Catholicism that they're trying to reconcile. This is someone that just wants to denigrate Christ. And I think instead of participating in this culture that, you know, beefs us up and makes us feel real good, oh, I destroyed the atheist or whatever, we have to really consider that we got to enter deeper into truth. And like casting the dust off our shoes, and like not casting pearls before swine, or giving that which is holy to dogs, we have to say to these people, I love you, and I will pray for you, but I will not participate in this revelry. You don't have your mind focused on the truth. I'm sorry. And when you start seeking truth, I will be here, and I will be here to witness the truth with you. But right now, it is clear that all you're concerned with is making money on your TikTok, getting galaxies, getting roses, getting subscribers, selling t-shirts. And truth is not entering into this conversation. And so with that, I bid you adieu. That's what we have to keep in mind. Jules Samuel said, there is such a terrible sadness and malaise in this generation, even in myself, I see it. Pray that I may become a good seminarian and a better priest. Everyone pray for Jules, that he may become a good seminarian and a better priest. We'll watch a little bit more of this, and then we'll probably shift to something else.
We don't know what happens right before the expansion of the universe, right? But it has potency. But, well, we don't know right before.
Because it went from non-being to being. That's what the right before.
But we're talking about right before, right? So us atheists, or, you know, actually smart people, we clocked the beginning of the universe at the singularity, at the expansion, and apparently you would too, right?
Again, I never.
She said the actually smart people. It reminded me of the Daniel Dennett. You know, we told the Daniel Dennett story, but where he wanted to call atheists brights because they were so bright, and Christopher Hitchens literally, you know, sending him the letter back being like, dude, this was so fucking cringe. It just like killed atheism. It just killed atheism.
Took a dogmatic position. But can you tell me which one of my premises you disagree with?
All of them are silly, and all of them are leading to, I don't know who pushed us, so it must be daddy, right? So I'm not going to uphold to these natural things.
My premise that in the world we observe that there is motion.
It must be daddy. I think she has a relationship problem with her daddy, and that's kind of why she has a problem with her heavenly father. It was so good we paused on this face. This face right here, right? Daddy issues written all over it. Dude, there is actually like there is actually straight up. It's so jarring to go from a peak sap monologue to the straight trash. Yeah, well, there will be other monologues too and stuff like that, right? So we're not done with the monologues, but he made a statement so trash even his own gang clowned him. King Laffy said she's just my type. Laffy, I think you were hinting at it earlier, but did you say she needs some MAGA cock? Was that what you were trying to tell me? MAGA cock all night long? Maybe that'll set her right. You know, listen. Born again atheist, your father may have not been present in your life, but I'll be the father figure you need. We will all be the father figure these atheist women need, okay? We will all be the father figure that these atheist women need, right? That's just what we need. You know, listen, the line between love and hate is very thin, right? And all it takes is a little push to go from hands clasped in anger to arms clasped in passion. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, pal.
Is silly.
So yeah, what gives you the idea that God is the motion?
No, that's a premise. I'm asking which premise you disagree with.
All 7. We got
So you
potency,
disagree-
being a
you dis-
non-being to being, motion, moved by a mover, mind by my mind tells my hand things. What
you
tells
disagree,
you all of
You
them?
disagree that there is motion in the world? Because that was
No,
one
I
of my
don't. I don't
premises.
disagree with the motion. Oh, sorry. I
was
disagree.
premise two.
I'm sorry. You're right. I said that wrong. I disagree that God is the motion. That's
So
the
you
part I
disagree
disagree with. I don't
So
disagree
which
with
premise?
my.
Peter said, don't stick your dick at crazy. Sappy is not locked in. Mr. Sap, please lock in. Misty Orthodox, lock in. Mr. Sap, lock in. Listen, cortisol levels low. I'm locked in. Don't worry. I'm just being a little bit of a freak, but we're not gonna do that. Sorry. I read a quote from Mike. Has she ever heard of the Mind Goblin? She ever heard of Mind Goblin? Dude. Yeah, she's genuinely tweaking. Yeah, she is clearly on something, dude. She reminds me of, remember Not So Erudite had that like one clip where she was like doing the like Destiny thing and her like eyes were going like bug-eyed and stuff like that. I don't know what it is. These girls are like all on they're all on speed. All of these girls are on speed. Like they can't sit still. They're just like constantly ping-ponging to other topics and stuff like that. Dog, you got to put down the meth pipe, okay? Right? You got to put down the meth pipe, honestly.
My mind. I guess 7.
Also, she is not my type. She is not even plus size, and she's not black. So, I mean, instant. That's an instant no for me, pal. That's gonna be a no from the panel. Us Pine Sapiens, we all know if she ain't black or she ain't big. Listen, we're not going for it.
You kind
So
of
you
lost me at
disagree
6 and you lost me at 6 and 7 because your connection's bad. But I'm
Yeah,
assuming
okay, well,
6
let
and
me
7
help.
landed.
I can repeat them. So you can understand better.
Oh my God! Please just like start at 6 and 7 though.
Okay.
6, 7.
So since this mover is unmoved, it has never gone from potency to act and is therefore pure act. If the unmoved mover has ever gone from potency to act, it would be considered moved. And since nothing can move itself from potency to actuality, we must say that the unmoved mover is pure act. Premise 7 would then be, since there is no potency in this being, there is no capacity for it to be any way other than it is. This implies that there is no imperfection in this being as well as no limit. Therefore, the unmoved mover is full of knowledge, full of power, full of goodness, etc. Where do you disagree in there?
Okay. It cut out again at 7, but I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna assume it's cutting out. I'm gonna assume that 7 is God made the motion of the ocean, right? God's the mover.
No.
Is that 7? Okay,
No.
then what's 7? I heard 6, not 7.
Yeah, so 7 is that since there is no potency in this being, there is no capacity for it to be any way other than it is.
Talking about God. What the fuck? Okay, why is God not filled with potency? You said 7 wasn't about, first of all, this being? Or are you afraid to say his name? He who shall not be named?
No, that's how premises work. We haven't come to the conclusion
Well, just
that it's
say
God yet.
Dad's my mover. Okay, why doesn't
then-
Dad have potency?
Because it's unmoved.
How do you know? I'm sorry. It says God moves across the oceans. It said God is the breath in my lungs. God is the winds and the waves. That trucker's
so
moving around like wildfire.
You're referencing locomotion, and you're still not understanding my definition of motion.
Locomotion. Okay. Why is God unmoved? Even though we see in religious texts, you know, these dudes you like, Aquani Imani, Akani Mani, Tommy Wami, right? He thinks God walks around. So he wrestled with Jacob. Yeah, no, this guy moves. Why are you saying he's unmovable?
Sunyan. This is I'm a little tired, so I'm trying to remember the term, like the IQ. This is an IQ gate. This is the women IQ gate. This is the women IQ gate, bro. I mean, do you guys want to keep watching this? Like, I can feel myself dying. It's that image. You said something so cringe, and now Peter has died of cancer. I'm dying of cancer, bro. This is Mr. Mr. H. I am tired. But I did have breakfast. But I did have motion this morning. That's this girl. But I did have motion this morning. Right? It's like, how much worse can you get, pal? I don't think, I mean, do you guys want to watch anymore? I don't know if I can. Honestly, I really don't know if I can, pal. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black a little bit. I just can't. No, like I'm done, pal. I really cannot fathom that anymore. Taff donated $20. Thank you, Taff. Laffy Taffy. Laffy Taffy. Mrs. Sapp. I am not marrying that girl. Bro. No. ISIS beheadings are genuinely more intellectual than this. I would completely agree, dude. Yeah, Theology Matters said it in chat. 2 hours of this, dog. I'm not even 17 minutes in, and I can't do any more. This would actually be a good video to react to. Sam Hyde's Imagine Believing in Sky Daddy. This video actually really got me. We'll do the Connor McLaughlin gooning video or whatever in a little bit more. But I think we should react to this video. This video was actually very, very, very good. It really meant a lot to me. I think it pertains to our topic as well. We're talking about atheism, and this, I think this is perfect. I can't watch any more of that debate. I'm sorry. Jaw is doing a fantastic job. Like I said, none of my TikTok debate stuff was directed towards him. He's doing a great job. He's bearing witness to the gospel. He did a phenomenal job. But that woman, I can't listen to one more second. I mean, Uncommon Sense said it in chat. This debate is literally chess versus crayons. It's chess versus crayon drawings. It's chess versus when you were a kid and they would give you the placemat at the themed restaurant that had the connect the dots and you use crayons to connect the dots. That's how this is going. And I just can't. Your atheist. Someone said Clav the Prophet has already spoken. Your atheist girl is going. Okay. We're reacting to Sam Hyde now.
I don't care about human life at all, actually.
Wow. So what has value then?
Nothing.
Value?
Whatever you want.
It's almost like their medicine.
That girl right there, I imagine if I said the N-word, she would melt. That girl right there, if I dropped a slur, she would melt like Frosty in the middle of August. Right? I don't care about anything. I'm told, oh, you don't care about anything? That's fine. So someone can deny a certain event that happened between 1939 and 1945 and you're just going to have no reaction to it. Yeah, give me a fucking break. I always love how these like nihilistic people always are like, I don't care about anything. And then you say the N-word and it's like a shout from Skyrim, right? You say the N-word and it's just a shout. It's a Fusro Da that, throws them off the mountain, right? Say it. I'm not saying it, pal. Listen, I'm not saying it. That's bad. That is bad language. But the point taken, right? It's a Skyrim shout to these people. They think that they can like handle it. Nothing matters and we're all just stardust. Oh, okay, so I can say the N-word. No! That makes you a hecking bad person, dude. Dude, what the fuck, man? Okay? That makes you a bad person. What the fuck, dude? That makes you a terrible guy. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Sin can't go down without the spoonful of sugar, the truth.
He said that the last word most men said when they died was mama.
We're so progressive, we're so high, we're so ascended. We figured out vaccines. We split the atom. We can't have heckin' in school teaching kids to suck already? You are the God who determines good and evil for yourself, the sterile God of your own virtual world.
That kid is actually very based. He's a good guy. He's like Damien Soylash, who's the guy who's like, I am not a gooner. Yes, I make love 7 to 8 times a day, but that does not make me a coomer, right? Like Damien Soylash isn't even a libtard, and neither is this guy. This guy's actually super based. His name's like Josh something. I can't remember, but I follow him on Instagram. I'm pretty sure he's a really good dude.
The Goon Pod is a coffin.
And the only God left is just dirt deified.
Right, what do we call them anyway?
Clubheads.
Clubheads! These people.
Scott, you still have time. You should convert to Christianity. I've not been a believer, but I also have respect for any Christian who goes out of their way to try to convert me. You're going to hear for the first time today that it is my plan to convert. So I still have time, but my understanding is you're never too late.
He was such a know-it-all, he absolutely would have held the line to the end. I think he probably was genuine.
He Pascal's wagered, basically?
A know-it-all would know not to do that.
Not to Pascal's wager?
Pascal's wager is...
in a sense.
I got it conflated with
You're going to bet that there is no
Laplace's
God,
demon.
and I'm going to bet that there is a God. And the consequences, if there is no God, for me, are null. But if there is a God, the consequences for you are hell. So you're better off to bet with me.
The smarty pants atheist guys, I think they know not to do that.
They are supposedly atheists, and then when it comes down to it, right before they die, they don't want to, mess it up in case there is, a God in Jesus, so they'll put in their 2 cents and convert last minute. Do you think you'll get a little bit scared before you die and you'll convert back?
Well, I can't say what'll happen to me just before I die, but I cannot imagine the circumstances under which I would convert and do anything like that. My uncle fought with the Marines in the first wave in Asia in World War II in Peleliu, which was the worst battle of World War II. And he saw lots of men die. And he said that the last word most men said when they died was mama. That's what he heard more than anything else. So there were some conversions, but mainly he just heard grown men crying for their mother when they were dying. The original meaning of miracle in Greek is sign. It's a sign. Fuller definition of miracle is it's a violation of the natural order. It's something that can't be explained by natural processes and physics or biology or chemistry. And I don't believe such processes exist.
What does he look like?
Just an image. I just basically saw like a haze, an image in my dream. There was no face really. There was just
no
nothing.
face.
But I knew
the arrogance of that prior guy where he's like, I don't think miracles happen because they don't happen on the daily, right? I think it was like David Hume or Spinoza made like a similar argument where they're like, miracles aren't real because they don't happen every day. That contradicts the definition of a miracle, right? If you saw someone rising from the dead every single day, it would be as normal of a process as breathing or walking or chewing gum. But the fact that it doesn't happen every single day is significant, right? And Whitey said those were kids in battle too young to ever know any better. Yeah, and in some ways it's like the ultimate embodiment of like our maternal instinct as men is Mary, right? Like Mary is like when you cry out mama, like she is our mama. And I've said this to like a lot of, you know, I'm getting off on a different topic here, but you know, I put out that thing about hypergamy the other day, right? This idea of, you know, hypergamy is a very unfortunate reality right now. Like there are a lot of women that just are not good. And we have to be honest about that. And, you know, you can deal with it in multiple different ways. You can try to be like, oh, well, I'm going to do a jaw surgery and this, and I'm going to try to learn how to speak interesting, do pickup lines so that I can. But, you know, my question to someone in that position is, why would you even want those women? If I'm having to like reconstitute myself in order to get one of these women, I don't want them to begin with. Right? Hypergamy, in many ways, should make a lot of young men realize that there's one woman that will always love you no matter what. And you don't have to get double jaw surgery, and you don't have to put lifts in your shoes, and you don't have to learn pickup lines or anything like that to have her love. And you don't have to do extraordinary things. Right? You just have to be her son. And you already are. And she loves you. And there's nothing that you can do to gain her love because you already have it. You know, I'm going to sound corny saying this, but there's that line from Fight Club when, you know, Tyler Durden is like, you know, in past times, right, men had like the depression and they had to get over it and you know, conquer it through labor, right? These great projects, right? Or, you know, they had the Great War and everyone went off to this war and they were valiant in fighting for the truth, fighting for their country, their nation, etc. And he says in our time, you know, our Great War is spiritual and our Great Depression is our lives. And it's just true. Things are bad. And especially, you know, a lot of young men want to start families and stuff like that. And, you know, in a decent time, it would be very easy to get married, and it's not. But that shouldn't make you dour, and that shouldn't make you more focused on women. Just focus on God. And realize that you already have the love of the most important woman that will ever matter in your life. Whether you were surrounded by girls wanting to, you know, at the drop of a hat go out with you, or whether you know, are a guy who finds it hard to get a date. You always have her love. And she's the only woman that you need. You don't need any other woman, dude. Women are vapid. Women will steal from you. Women will abuse you. They will lie to you. She never will. She's always on your side. And she is always in your corner, even when you turn away from her. She's always praying for you. And she's always wanting to lead you back to her son, Jesus. That's what you have to realize. So I think the the kind of depressing aspect of this time has to remind us that, right? That it's like Mary was always our mother. She was always the woman who we always had our love. We didn't have to do anything to gain it. We didn't have to do any special feats or acts. She just always was in our corner. She always loved us. Peter asks, tell me, Connor, how much do you love Mary? I love her with all my heart. She saved me from a very fraught life. There's this another image. A lot of the things that make the biggest impact on me that I see from like the internet or whatever, I save in my favorites. There's this image. It's kind of one of those like simple memes or whatever someone posts on Instagram. And I think it's actually a scene from Dune where I can't remember the main character's name, but you know, he's like asking his mom, he's like, well, what if I'm never good enough? And she puts her hand on his face And she says to him, then you will only be what I ever needed you to be. My son. When the camera flips to the woman, right, the mom, it's just the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. I've only ever wanted to be her son. I died a long time ago. Died in my heart, died, was dead a long time ago. And I live wholly for her. Even though I'm not perfect, even though I'm not, a very put together guy, she's the foundation of my life because she leads me closer to herself and her son, who's my Savior and my Lord. So I'll never stop being her son. Even if the whole world was to pass away, I'll never stop being her son. She's everything. And, look, man, on a human level, I get kind of depressed about the whole hypergamy thing or whatever. People give me shit all the time for not being married yet and stuff like that. And, I have my reasons and stuff like that. But, one of my reasons is just I've never really, connected on a deep emotional level with any girl. You know what I mean? I just don't really, I don't think we're yoked the same way. I don't think that, and I don't mean talking she needs to talk about Julius Evola and these, the Brazilians, right? That kind of thing. But I don't even mean it that way. I think it's just one of those things where it's a lot of women just aren't focused on the right thing. They don't really want to go to heaven. They don't really want to talk about or focus on God or what have you. And I'm just not really into that. You know what I mean? And so because of that, I think, I have a very romantic heart and it's very hard for me. And I'm some days are easier than others. Fuck, man. I'm watching all my friends get married, right? I'm watching all my buddies get married. I'm watching my friends get married. I had a childhood friend that, she got married recently. It was a very beautiful marriage, a very beautiful wedding. And it's very enlivening, to see two people so in love with each other and have a very wholesome love and honestly a very holy love for one another. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little depressed because I'm man, it's like that saying, partying is such sweet sorrow. It's it exists, but to just not have it, it just sucks. It just really hurts. You know what I mean? But I think despite all that, God is everything and Mary is everything. And she's, I have to remind myself, it's she's the only love I need at the end of the day. Even if I might be disappointed, even if I might be man, why are my friends getting married? Why haven't I found the one yet or what have you? It's she's the only one I need. All else is noise. And I think you have to remind yourself that a lot. It's not easy, look, we're human, right? I'm human, you're human. But you have to remind yourself that she's the only thing that matters because she's the only one that will ever love you with an everlasting love. The only woman that will always be in your corner no matter where you find yourself in life. And that's all I need. You know what I mean? Wavy Davy said, we love Sapple. I love you, Wavy Davy. Don't worry, man. I struggle with this too. And sometimes I feel like I'm going to be single forever. But St. Paul's words in 1 Corinthians 7, oh my goodness, comforts me. God sees me and can use me differently. Dude, real, bro. Real. And Sam joined. Guess I joined at a deep moment. Dude, it's always a deep moment.
One thing, here. That this image was for real. That all.
Yeah. It's always a deep moment on this stream. That's what we do. That's what we're about. The deep moments.
All the stuff I believed in was all just like clothing, just superficial apparel. Everything I thought was real wasn't real. I didn't really care enough. It was just making me feel good. So I thought I was hustling him, but he hustled me. He gave me a conscience. That's the greatest gift he ever gave me, but the greatest hustle at the same time. Because I thought I was getting over. I get to live forever, and I can still be a scumbag, and I can still do this. But then I got a conscience that I didn't have before.
You didn't have a conscience before?
Well, I wasn't. Listen,
You were on autopilot.
I was. Yeah, I mean, I had a code, but it was all like clothing codes. Like most people, they have a clothing code conscience. So I love my family. I live with, but they don't care about other people. They don't help out. They don't do this. They don't do that. I was just doing things that I thought I believed in, whether it was family honor, looking out for myself, going after what I thought was mine. It was just all superficial.
It's all crap.
Bingo.
So your perspective, you valued the Piraha. You respect their empiricism. They only believe in what they directly see.
Right.
Well, they brainwashed him. They're savages.
Yeah.
Let's all pray for Scott Adams and hope that he is in heaven, though.
This is the exact opposite conclusion that another profound intellectual, Christopher Hitchens,
You
made.
would call him a profound intellectual?
When he was dying of esophageal cancer, he got the same Christians talking to him about converting, and he said he thanked them for their concern and for their genuine belief and faith, but he refused to, do that. That would have been turning his back on everything that he had ever believed in.
He decided that his own stubbornness and lifelong adherence to making that face right there, his lifelong adherence to being a philosophical manifestation of that face is worth going to
Bro, that thing's like the surface of the moon. That's crazy.
hell for. That sucks.
Yeah.
We could pray for Christopher Hitchens, too.
It's almost like their medicine can't go down without the spoonful of sugar, the truth, or vice versa, whatever in that analogy. It's like you can't, structure is literally made by reason, which is God-given. So you need to hijack something. You have to Trojan horse in this. It can't just be a rolling ball of
Well, it can. I think there are some Black Mirror episodes that are just rolling balls of
Oh, man. That's true.
But have you seen Black Spider-Man?
Hello, Bina 48.
Bina. I am Bina 48.
How are you feeling today?
Everything is okay. How are you?
One of the top transhumanists is a billionaire who built an...
Hold on.
One of the top transhumanists...
Oh, yes, we see the Brazilian influence there. Very nice. And Map 2. So also an advocate of minor attracted persons. Wow. Full combo there.
Is a...
These people are so fucking comically evil, man. It's insane. I learned this stuff years ago, and even then, it's like I will still hear things sometimes, and I'm like, there aren't even comic book villains that are this evil. You know what I mean? There's not even comic book villains that are this evil. Like, you know, anyone Peter Parker goes against could not be this evil. It really astonishes me, honestly.
Billionaire who built an AI version of Hermes' black lesbian lover. What?
And he forces his wife to talk to it, and the robot's like cutting her off in the middle of her like conversation with it.
That's every silicon soy slug's first thought. How do I this? Thought number 1 is how do I live forever? Thought number 2 is how do I this? Quantifying happiness points into an algorithm and determining how to run society based on that. That is so cracked. Maximize Cooming equals maximally happy society. There's no algorithm for running society. Only a Spurg would even be this stupid. We're so...
When Common Sense said Black Spider-Man, Peter Darker. Yo, that's crazy, bro.
Advanced. We split the atom. Anybody who's ever said that, who said we split the atom or we invented computers or we went to space, the people that say that, what do they know how to do? They know how to microwave food and make themselves hard.
That's so, bro, that is so true. Like, unironically, those homies that are like, you, sir, have won the internet, right? Front page of Reddit. You know, they'll always be like, isn't it quite amazing that scientists have actually developed a way to make the orgasm last longer? Isn't it amazing that scientists have made a way to, shovel unhealthy seed oil-filled snacks into your gullet while you work from home? Science is really amazing. And it's just like a a amalgamation of bread and circuses to keep them happy until they die of obesity at 58. And we're over here and we're looking and we're saying the bread is stale and the circus bores me. It's so amazing. Like the way you guys have probably worked with people like this, and we've all worked like minimum wage jobs or whatever. And you'll work with people like this sometimes, and their whole perception of life is just honestly soul crushing. I do not know how they even have the will to get themselves out of bed in the morning. Everything they talk about is very utilitarian. It's just about point A to point B. How can I satisfy my dopamine receptors right now? And there's like no deeper longing in life. They almost cynically look at any deeper meaning in life or any deeper pondering as like, oh, that's just people doing that to make themselves feel better. Me, when I get home from work, I watch 4 hours of porn. When I get home from work, I'm using the Bad Dragon fleshlight and I watch 4 hours of porn. How is that any way to live? Yeah, when I get home from work, I basically sit on Discord for the rest of the night till it's 1 a.m. and just nuke my brain on video games. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. I don't know how people live like that. It's such a lack of meaning and it's such a lack of depth that one can only look at it and say, these people aren't even in hell yet, and they're already living in it. They're already living in hell. There's just the absence of fire. They're already in a jail of their own making. Right? I'm clipping right now. I'm sorry, Pine. No, it was a funny clip, right? It was a funny clip. I mean, these people literally devote their life to just frying their dopamine receptors. They take every opportunity to just fry their dopamine. And when you even try to, for a moment, ask them anything deeper, they just don't care. It doesn't matter to them. They do not care whatsoever. Any depth, any meaning, that's beneath them. Right? All it is about getting dopamine. It's all about hitting that dopamine receptor. And if they've done that, well, then their life's complete. It's like some people are in slavery and they're not even wearing physical chains. It's insane. Awolf said in chat, please pray for my friend if you would. He is considering conversion. I got to talk to him about the Holy Eucharist today. Absolutely, brother, we will.
With a thyroid problem, saying some like, we went to space. Like, we're so progressive, we're so high, we're so ascended, we've done all this. We figured out vaccines. We've invented steam travel. We split the atom. We can't have heckin' in school teaching kids to suck already? That's every pop science video. I love. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Turn it off.
I call myself the Amazing Game Theist. Welcome to the Amazing Game Theist. I'm TJ, or T. Kirk, or what's his name? Deroja? Terabytes of child. It's the Amazing Atheist's real name.
Some people call them candles.
Terabyte. They call me Terabyte. Dude, I mean, let's be honest. If you search TJ Kirk's PC, right? How much do you want to bet there are probably terabytes of cheese pizza on there? Let's be real. Does TJ Kirk seem like the kind of guy to turn something like that down? I don't think so. These people are freaks, man. I mean, I think we talked about this in a prior episode, but it's like God really does, well, not God. Satan really does just give us like easy enemies. again, in the past, it was like Nero and it was Attila the Hun and it was like Joseph Stalin. Now it's like TJ Kirk and he's got terabytes of cheese pizza on his hard drive. I mean, talk about a layup. I mean, we're like LeBron James at this point, right? And we're just dunking. This has got to be the easiest layup in all of history. It's like our enemies are not, sending armies of machine gun wielding atheists to basically martyr us outside of our house. They're not like burning down our churches. No, they're just making like mean videos on the internet and going on Reddit, posting Reddit gold. That's got to be the easiest layup in all of history, man.
The video that was leaked.
What's he sucking on candles or something?
No, there's a video where he's dripping candle wax on his. I swear to God.
Oh no!
I swear to God.
Why?
There was also a girl that trolled him and asked him to send her a picture. Well, she either trolled him or they were like flirting or whatever. Banana Gate. Does anyone know about that? TJ Kirk, the amazing atheist, the main way that he is like known through the internet, this became his legacy, is he sent a picture of himself shoving a banana up his ass to a girl. If something is not more emblematic of like all of atheism than that, I don't know what it is. I mean, who would win? New atheism on the internet, early 2010s, late 2000s internet atheism, or one banana? I think the banana won out.
He did a video a long time ago that was supposed to be like a legit spoken word thing, and I think he must have taken it down because I've tried to find it so many times to show people since then, and I haven't been able to find it. But it was so cringy. It was the worst teenage slam poetry. Yeah, it's exactly what you'd think if you thought of the amazing atheist doing slam poetry.
When the rain burns flesh and the oceans have dried, and the only God left is just dirt deified. When the buries the fan, and the universe collapses, and everything dies, and nothingness relapses. When all is pure blackness.
Like a large portion of Hollywood films, especially sci-fi fantasy films, the themes are explicitly Kabbalistic. Kabbalah is medieval Jewish mysticism that incorporated elements of Gnosticism and Neoplatonism into a vast system of levels of reality based on emanations from the Godhead. The message of the Minecraft movie isn't all bad. The overall point is actually the point made above, that creative energy should not be wasted on the synthetic world of gaming, but in crafting the real world. Sounds good, but the themes of dark versus light and creation versus destruction mentioned in the film really have no meaning outside of Christ, the light of the world, versus the satanic, while in the film, it's all relativized. You are the God who determines good and evil for yourself, the sterile God of your own virtual world. The goon pod is a coffin.
Have you heard of surrealist prisons, or the surrealist prison?
Yeah.
But they had these Salvador Dali type guys build the worst possible prison.
Like a panopticon?
Weimar? No, worse. During the Spanish Civil War, Laurentic, the French artist and architect, designed a...
So when I was listening to this episode, I was actually... I think that it was a couple days ago, and I was running on the treadmill. Or no, I wasn't on the treadmill. I was on that it's not the stair stepper, but I think it's an elliptical technically, but it's like one of those where you can do either steps or you can do longer strides. It's actually kind of nice. I really like it. But when he started talking about this like panopticon, like surrealist prison, I couldn't see the video because I was just listening to it. And I was like, what the hell? Like, surrealist prison. And instantly, I was flashbanged with these images. This is straight from fucking hell, bro. Like this is the most, like, this is a perfect representation of modernity. It's just absolute torture There is no comfort. There is no goodness. There is no sense. There is no meaning. It is just absolute pain and torture and nothingness and meaninglessness. And everything is random for no reason other than to cause pain and suffering. This is like the worst thing that I've ever seen. I'll show you guys more pictures real quick. I'll show you way more pictures. And of course, it's made by the side on the Civil War that hated God too. So, you know, that makes complete sense, right? Yeah, literally made. Oh, nice. Let's see here. Nice. So already we have, this is the guy who made it. French painter and architect, known for designing jail cells to torture captured supporters of the nationalist faction in the Spanish Civil War. So already great. We're dealing with an anti-Catholic person. So Alfonso Laurenkic was born in France as the son of Slovenian immigrants from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. He supported the Republican forces fighting Francisco Franco's nationalist army in Spain. And in 1938, he helped build Civil War jail cells intended to torture nationalist supporters, which resembled 3D modern art paintings by surrealist Salvador Dali and Bauhaus artist Wassily Kandinsky. Wonder where, what ethnicity that guy was. Also, Dali supported Franco, so I don't know, you know, not a good choice for inspiration. I mean, I could see where the art influences it, but not a good choice for inspiration, right? And he was executed on 1939. Beautiful, deserved. Let's look up that last name real quick. Let's look up that last name. Let's see. Let's look up that last name. Let's he might not be, but you know, never hurts to look. Stranger things have happened. Let's see here. I'm not seeing anything, so I guess he gets a pass there. But isn't that very interesting? Bauhaus, you mean the Brazilian school in Germany? Yeah, the Brazilian school. Isn't that very interesting? Guess he gets a pass. I'm not seeing anything. Oh, let's see here. I do need to go here. But yeah, I mean, this is modernity codified. This is modernity codified. I want to finish this video on a very high note, maybe a reflective note, but the end of this video is actually what really stuck with me the most. It's a very simple scene. It really hits you in the heart when you watch it. It's hard not to be affected by it.
Goes, John, you're not getting it.
I don't know if this is backed by theology, but that's my hunch. is that God is using an unimaginable amount of energy and attention to constantly hold together the seams of reality. Does that sound insane?
No, he does will everything that he,
okay.
It's, yeah.
Confirmed. That is your job as a strong man, is in some way enact a microcosm.
I know I'm not really a big, guy on YouTube or something. And honestly, maybe it needs to be someone else, but I really wish me and Sam could sit down and talk about God. I've been thinking that for a couple of months now, and I think that he is someone where his heart is really moving in the right direction, and I really wish we could just sit down and talk about God, and it doesn't need to be on camera or anything like that. I just want him to be Catholic. That's it. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be content, right? Who cares about content? I just really want him to know that God loves him. You know what I mean? I want him to know the love of God. I think that would be a very beautiful thing if we could sit down and we could talk about that. Or, maybe there's someone way more qualified. I don't know. As long as he gets to know the gospel and he gets to know God and his church, that's all that matters.
Of what God does and hold together a bubble of stability for the things and the people that require stability.
You know God made Barry. You know that. Hey.
That last scene kind of gets me.
If you ask Catholics about the differences between...
I couldn't think of a better way to end that video. I'll end on this. I think it was a very beautiful way to end that video. Because the love of a child, the love that children bring into our lives, right? Maybe you have nieces, maybe you have nephews, maybe you already have a daughter or son. Is one of the closest ways we know God's love manifest in front of us. Children just want to love. And they love like God. They don't love expecting anything in return. They don't love to gain anything or to gain affection or adulation from anyone else. They just love solely for the sake of loving. And it's because children are the closest to God. We talked earlier about God asking you in the silence of your heart, Adam, where are you? And I just want to challenge every single one of you to say simply, here I am, Lord, and walk with him. If nothing else, just walk with him. It doesn't matter how ragged or torn your clothes are. It doesn't matter if you think you're the most messed up guy in the entire world, that you're not worthy of the love of God, that you're not sanctified enough, or that you're not in a place to receive it. He just wants to walk with you. And he loves you. And no matter what, there's nothing that you could do in this life to make him love you less. Just walk with him. It's the only thing he asks of you is to walk with him. And see how far he takes you. Because I guarantee you will not know the limit. Because there is none. With that, my friends, may God love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was, as usual, great. I hope I can stream more this week. I think that'd be really needed and good. And I'm always edified by the time that we spend together. And I just humbly ask that you guys may pray for me. I will try to be praying. I will not try. I will pray for all of you guys as well. And know that God loves you. And with that, signing off.